tell us what your monetary goals are, and I can go ahead and plug that down below. But yeah, tell us how much it is to, buy this piece of land.
I'm going to do this. So I'm going to do this either way. I'm asking for people to help me raise $5,000. That will help be able to make this place functional as a lab immediately, like as soon as possible. I'm buying this place because I've wanted to own this piece of land and this property for years and years and years. But the $5,000 will allow me to upgrade the solar system, the solar energy system, not the
I was like,
solar power system.
Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm here today with Zavier Henderson. He is a fantastic biohacker that's been working with our community for a really long time. And I just wanted to say, what's up? So what's up? Hey. I actually have met Zavier a couple of years ago, but we just didn't have the time to chat and like really dive into like all of the cool stuff that he's been working on. So I've been kind of catching up with him here just to find out like what's going on in the space and how he's contributing to the community. So yeah, with that, let's get started. So Zavier, why don't you tell me, just your origin story, like how did you start biohacking, and what got you here today?
So basically, I realized at one point that my education was pretty garbage and I needed to know more about biology, and I was really super into it. And I just started to learn about all these crazy people doing, groundbreaking biology in their houses and garages and apartments and stuff like that. And I got a taste of that, and I started just doing stuff like learning how to culture bacteria and plants in tissue culture. And then it just got to the point where I wanted to do it full time, to the point where I dropped out of high school and decided to go around pitching projects to raise money to build a lab in my parents' basement.
Wow, that's amazing. So you're actually a high school dropout that's decided to pursue biology, like outside the means of academic and corporation. Wow, that's incredible. I think your voice resonates with a lot of people in this community of just like either their education has failed them, or in wanting to learn more about a certain aspect of biology, or like the other group where it's just like I really absolutely hate my job doing like X, and now there's a really great opportunity to get involved with like you said, all these crazy people that you see on like Netflix or like these like crazy documentaries on YouTube. Like there's so much shit you can find on YouTube, but that's pretty cool that you've decided to go this route. So yeah, I want to learn more about some of the projects that you've worked on in the past, actually. So after you got really excited about these like groups of people, like what was like the next step you decided to do to get into more of the community?
So basically I fell in love with working with plants, and I met Sebastian Kocheba, and we started talking all the time, and I started looking at plants in a different way, and I started just trying to research how to breed plants, how selective breeding worked, and the kind of the path that led to genetic engineering. And I discovered this technique that was super interesting called plant protoplast fusion. And I basically started a project that I was calling Organic GMOs, because you can create these crazy fusion plants, like mixing together roses and strawberries, and potentially you could have a plant that like flowers roses, and then when the roses die back, it fruits strawberries. And I was like, whoa, this would be crazy. And so it's technically organic too, which is insane. That means I could make this crazy plant. I could go down to the local farmer's market here in Vermont and just sell it, and anyone can buy it and grow it and do whatever. And it was just so freeing that I decided that this is like something I need to carve out. Like I need to figure out how to make this not only accessible for me, but for others as well, to make like the most minimal method possible to doing this, because then anyone can create these crazy genetic fusions, and it's a really powerful technology. And that was one of my first projects in the community. And I worked on that with Sebastian a little bit.
Oh, that's super cool. So you got like this really fantastic mentorship. And I know Sebastian as like a community leader here. He just like loves chatting with people about, plants and especially like gene technology and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool that you got to work one-on-one with him to build kind of these tools out. So have you done anything outside of like plant genetic engineering?
Yeah, I've done all sorts of stuff. I've worked with spirulina with Elliot Roth, who was on your show just a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
and uh, I've also worked with bacteria and animal cells a little bit. But plants are really, really what I'm interested in, because they're kind of like these little factories that run off dirt and sunlight, and you can make any crazy compounds. You can make all these cool medicines and foods and products, and yeah.
But it just takes so damn long.
takes a long time, and that's really what I want to help out with. Is I want to be able to make plant work easier, and that's kind of what Sebastian's doing with his new group. And he's been building out these plasmids and constructs and all these resources for other people to work on plants easier. But I'd love to work on other stuff too, and I'm trying to get involved more with community projects, working with fungi and plants and animal cells and bacteria and yeast and stuff.
Yeah. So it kind of brings me to my next question. I saw on social media that you are fundraising for your own bio lab out there in Vermont. Tell us a little bit more about, what you're trying to achieve, and tell us more about the space. It sounds super cool where it is right now, and what are your plans to do with it?
So I'm basically trying to buy this 25-acre plot of land that has this structure on it that is a crazy geodesic dome with an outer cylindrical shell, and the third floor is a trampoline. And there's also a slide from the third floor to the second floor. And it was built by this crazy caveman of a person named Jamie Mansell. And he's one of my heroes. He basically just built the thing by going to Home Depot and hiking up large, things of metal conduit, EMT conduit tubing. So it's this crazy off-grid place that I've wanted to buy for years and years and years. And right now is the time, I think. And I want to turn it into a lab, because there's no one else in Vermont doing this kind of work. And I really want to be able to extend this hand out to the people of Vermont to be able to learn and do projects that are actual cutting edge, science projects, not just silly transformations or volcanoes with baking soda and vinegar or something. And I also want to extend a handout to the people of our communities online, our biohacking communities, to experience what Vermont is like, and experience what it's like to work with a forest and a whole ecosystem, and not with genetic engineering specifically. I think that's I don't condone that kind of work, releasing GMOs, but being able to understand and build larger things, and really interact with a whole biosphere. So yeah, I'm trying to make it into a crazy off-grid biolab that really anyone can come and learn science, and what I do specifically in science.
Yeah, it sounds truly magical. The way you described it before, it was just like there's like lots of hiking trails, and in the intersection of all these hiking trails in the middle of like nowhere is this huge massive structure
Hmm.
that has like, like that geodesic dome, and also with like a skylight trampoline basically. And I'm just like, that is like my dream of just, to be in the wilderness and just work on really cool like biohacking projects. That would be just the penultimate like retreat for me, honestly. And it's kind of cool because then you could think about like, oh, what's going on here in Vermont, and like how do we sustain either this ecosystem or preserve it, or genetically modify it to make it better. So like you said, you can bring these really crazy fused like protoplast plants to like the farmers market and be like,
Hmm.
I just made this like up in my shed like over yonder. And I think that's a super super awesome just like thing to do. So that's pretty cool. I have to ask you, and I've been doing research on this for a couple of years now, because I've been trying to solve this problem of like DIY biospaces or biohacking spaces,
Mm.
that people are very eager to come up and say, hey, got this cool lab space, gonna teach, like lots of collaborative like projects. And it's like really exciting, right? Because
Mm.
we're all like, this sounds like a great idea. Now, however, it's not all smiles and butterflies, because you have to fund this lab, you have to keep the lights on somehow. And I did my research where I surveyed over 25 biolabs in the United States. I got a hold of 19 of them. And when I interviewed them, this was, pre-COVID, back in January of 2020.
Mm.
And I asked them like, hey, like how are you sustaining your business or your lab and like your business? Like what's going on here? And they're in half of them have reported saying, yeah, we're kind of struggling. We might have to close, like shut down for a bit. It's hard keeping the lights on. Like I have to teach outside of this just to get the revenue flowing, and it's been really disheartening. And I see like a downfall of just like these biolab spaces trying to keep up, because number one, they may not get an influx of people just like flocking to their labs every day to do experiments. And if you're giving it away for free, it's like, shit, like how are you going to keep the lights on? So my
Yeah.
question to you really is, how do you make a lab like this sustainable to where you could still help out the community that maybe doesn't have all of the liquid cash to just like give to you and ask you to teach them, but like, yeah, like how do you keep it sustainable?
So the thing about the space we work in is it is so cutting edge that it is highly interesting to investors, and um, the potential to start a company that could change the entire world very high. So my biggest challenge as a biohacker was, well, first coming to competency by teaching myself online, but then being able to say, okay, how do I take these skills and how do I make a career out of this myself? And so I think I want to, my whole goal with this lab is to not get people in the door to this place. It's really going to be my personal lab that allows for this larger community to exist, because without, like Sebastian's personal lab was the reason why I got to touch these reagents and these tools and learn any of the stuff really hands-on. And I've yet to find anyone else really doing that kind of thing. And it was all just because we talked online and he was so welcoming. And I want to extend that sort of welcoming, willingness to teach, and not try to just do, like I said, I'm not trying to get schools in here and do like transformations, although I'd love to be able to go to schools and teach. I'm not trying to get them through the door. It's not my revenue model. It's really just me supporting this lab because I need a lab for my work, doing startup work. which I've been lucky enough to get involved with here in Vermont, doing remote lab work. That's a real blessing for me. And so now that I've been blessed with being able to do this, I want to extend this further and allow other people to come in and take a project, from just maybe even an idea, and I can tell them whether or not, how we could go about that, whether or not that would work, or take a community project and be able to add another lab on there working on it, and really be able to extend this community further with more competent, welcoming people who can give these experiences to others. Because I wouldn't have, like I said, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this without Sebastian. I'm trying to take anyone else who wants to do something, especially anyone in Vermont. If anyone, like, there's nothing here, there's nothing for scientists here, very little in the way of science. So I want to be that for the people of Vermont, but also for the community, because I'd love to show people in the community what it's like here in Vermont. And be able to experiment with, a large piece of land and be able to do cool projects and have gardens and take those plants from the garden and go in and genetically modify them and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I love that you're double dipping, right? You get this, you're in a startup that, you have a flow of just like revenue, but also just trying to give back to the community in like a very circular fashion of just like, hey, I was mentored from Sebastian. Let's mentor some people in this lab space, and like, let's keep the conversation going and flowing. And especially for like those Vermont people, like, yeah, I feel that you guys don't have shit. And it would be really cool to have like some sort of biotech like explosion come out from there. So, which would be really fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So tell us what your monetary goals are. And I can go ahead and plug that down below. But yeah, tell us how much it is to, buy this piece of land.
So I'm going to do this. So I'm going to do this either way. I'm asking for people to help me raise $5,000. That will help be able to make this place functional as a lab immediately, like as soon as possible. I'm buying this place because I've wanted to own this piece of land and this property for years and years and years. But the $5,000 will allow me to upgrade the solar system, the solar energy system, not the,
I was like,
solar power system, and be able to run lab equipment and do things consistently and in an effective way. Because I'm tired of having ineffective labs. I want to be able to put some real money into real tools that we can, reliably and consistently, recreate papers and do good work.
Totally. And what kind of projects are you going to start right off the bat once this gets funded?
I really want to make my work with protoplasts more public, and be able to maybe put together kits for people to work on testing out like minimal methods that I come up with, because you really only need a few pieces of equipment to do this, and one of them is a hand crank centrifuge, and that's enough for isolation of protoplasts. And I've done it successfully. And if I can create a well-written procedure and distribute these tools, we can have people creating all sorts of weird fusions and learning more about what species do work, what species don't work, what's finicky, what's not finicky, because plant tissue culture in general needs help. And that's another one of the projects I want to do, is be able to contribute to the stuff that Sebastian is doing. He's been putting out plasmids and resources for people. I want to be able to help in testing those and grow the network to where we can have 2 points of dispersal, kind of sending out all of these constructs to people. because they're really cool.
Yeah, they are super cool. And I'm part of the plant group as well, which I'll plug, right below. But yeah, thank you. I'm super excited. And I really, really hope that you reach that goal to, get fully funded. And the community can reach out to you and have you as like a leader that's leading the space. So I'm really excited for that. And I really hope that comes to fruition, because I want to go on that geodesic dome trampoline. That sounds super awesome. And I would never pass up going to Vermont to do that. So, all right, awesome. Thank you, Zavier. Really appreciate having you here. Yeah, and it was really great to, understand and know where you come from and what you're going to be doing just to really shake up the space here. So highly appreciate it. With that said, thank you so much. I'll catch you real soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And if you want to follow up with Zavier and his project, all of the links will be below. Be sure to contribute anything you can just to support his awesome dream and really to contribute back to the community and to foster this mentorship. That's what we're all about here. And if you're interested in pitching a proposal to me, feel free to email me at estherthebiohacker@gmail.com. And be sure to join the Facebook community group for the Biohacking and Genetic Engineering Design group. We have awesome people like Zavier, coming back, always to us and pitching ideas and getting the collaboration really started. So much appreciated. All right, I will see everybody next week and hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye.